Hello, my name is Felix Ortiz, and today I'll be answering the question, to what extent does the wage gap in sports affect women professional athletes in the United States? My thesis is that the wage gap in sports negatively affects women professional athletes by making them feel like less and not allowing them to play to their best ability. As shown in the image to the left, women will actually only earn a small portion of the salary compared to the man's average. Doing some calculations, the percentages between men and women is astonishing. To be more specific, in basketball, a woman will earn roughly 1.6% of the salary that a man will. In soccer, a woman will only earn 14.4% of what a male will. And in golf, a woman will only earn 16.6% of what a male will. And although in tennis it shows that women are actually being paid more, this in no way justifies the fact that in the other three sports, women are being severely underpaid. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the sports industry took a very heavy toll towards its revenue. According to the graph provided by Statista.com, the sports industry lost roughly $8.22 billion. The main two factors of this can be seen on the graph, with less fans spending money on pro sports and tourism related to youth sports. Because since travel was banned in a few locations, tourism wasn't booming as much as it was before. Although the sports industry took a very heavy hit, this in no way justifies that currently women are being severely underpaid in the sports industry. As shown on the chart on the left, these statistics are a little bit more up to date. The statistics show that in 2019, women still earn nowhere near the amount that the males did in 2019. This negatively affects women because it feeds into the narrative that women are actually worth less than men, because both of them played the same sport with the same rules and competed in similar tournaments, the only difference being who competed in these tournaments. If both genders did the same work, then there should be no reason as to why women are being severely underpaid when it comes to the male salary. This narrative is even spoken of in interviews with professional athletes. As shown in the two interviews on the left, both athletes have acknowledged that there are things that still need to be done in order for the situation to be completely settled. However, both of them have noted that there has been progress on wages ever since their time. Billie Jean King was famous for actually Billie Jean King was a tennis champion in her time. She was famous for actually trying to boycott the US Open, which is a tennis tournament and is featured on many channels. It was the 1973 US Open when Billie Jean King finally said that enough was enough. She had won her tournament, but the male winner was paid more than her. After this, people had finally realized that this was no way to treat women athletes, and there were many movements that followed right after her brave actions. Sadly, decades later, and the same problem is still evident. Furthermore, sometimes the amount that a woman athlete is being paid isn't even enough to live a steady life. As shown in the interview transcript in the top left, a hockey player and Olympic gold medalist Kendall Coyne Schofield had spoken out saying that the amount that she was paid wasn't even enough to live a steady life, right? So for context, a hockey player gets paid 13 times between the month of October to April, putting them at around $91,000 a year, which may seem like a lot. However, with sports, there are hidden costs. To be a professional athlete, you need to purchase a variety of things, such as the things listed in the bottom left image. Things like medical treatments and sports agents aren't exactly cheap. As shown, sports agents alone will take 4 to 10% of their athlete's salary. This giant wage gap doesn't allow for women to play to their best performance because they don't even have enough money to live a steady life. So it is unreasonable to expect them to be able to pay for gear, travel, medical treatments, and sports agents while only earning $91,000 a year. However, to come up with a solution to this problem, we must understand how this problem was and is created. In order for sports leagues to make their money, they need to sell things such as tickets and cosmetics. This doesn't seem to be a big problem for men, but is a very big problem for women. Men don't have such a hard time selling their things because they get a lot more publicity compared to women. With more publicity, they have a larger audience, allowing them to sell more things and at a higher rate, which in turn makes their leagues more money, which gets them paid more. More specifically, in order for an athlete to make more money than their salary, they can do a variety of different things. Three things that they can do is have appearances on certain shows or being an Olympic winner, sponsorships, and also through product endorsements. However, in order for females to do this, it would be a lot more harder to set these sorts of things up because, as shown in the graph on the left, women in 2009 only got 4% of a sports channel's runtime on national TV compared to a male that got over 90% of the show's runtime. However, there is a solution to this problem that's plain and simple. Create a program that encourages investors to invest more into the Women's Sports League. With having more investors in the Women's Sports League, this will allow women to have higher salaries, allowing for best performance possible because they'll be able to purchase the best things for them. And having invested more money into the league, it will veer off the narrative that female athletes are worth less than male athletes because their wages will be equal. However, this investment does take a lot of risk, and should it fail, then not only will the investors and women athletes lose money, but the women's sports industry will most likely fail as a whole. Thank you. What questions do you have?
And I do have two questions for you. First up, how did your research question evolve as you moved through this entire project?
My question in the first place was, to what extent does the wage gap affect performance among women athletes in the United States? However, I wanted to cover a more broader range, and I figured that if I had changed the wording to my question to just to what extent does the wage gap affect women personal athletes instead of just performance, it allowed me to cover more broader perspective and allowed me to make more valid points.
Okay, and what additional questions emerged as you went through the process?
One of the questions that emerged was if there was an actual study done that like salaries would actually directly affect performance, but that was in the beginning, and there was one, and it was answered because somebody had done a study increasing salaries and taking out certain variables, and it found out that salaries actually did have a direct link to performance, which with a higher pay, there was better performance.